All right, y'all, let's talk about getting beads onto your yarn. I've got my yarn, which is Expression Fiber Arts Glimmer Fingering. I've got a little swatch that's in the process of being worked up. I've got my e-hook, which is what I'm using to actually work the crochet part. I've got 1, 2, 3 beading tools, and I've got my beads. They are 6/0 metallic beads. I picked these up at Michael's. Starting with the steel hook. This is a size 10 hook, or 1.15 millimeter. The hook has a very small shaft, which means you can't load up that many beads in advance. Rather than having to open and close the bead tube every time I want a new bead, I've got a little container that I'm using to hold my beads. I'm going to take my hook. I am going to scoop up a bead onto my hook. 1 bead on the hook. You can probably get 2 or 3 on here, but not much more than that. Take my live stitch, use the steel hook to pull the stitch through the bead. That's it. Now I'm going to work a regular double crochet, pick up my e-hook, work a regular double crochet, and there we go. I've got a beaded stitch. It's that easy. Fleegle Beader, it operates on a very similar idea. I'm going to pull it out of the container, pop off the little protective covering. There are 2 stoppers, so I'm going to pull one off, and then I can load up beads. Beads are on the beater. If I was working a full, proper crochet project, I would probably fill up the entire shaft because it's easier than stopping and starting. If you are pausing your project at any point, you can take the stopper and put it back on, and this way, your beads won't fall off, even if you travel with them. Personally, when I'm actually working on the project, I like to sit somewhere, and then I can just put the beader down and it won't go anywhere. Fleegle Beader has a tiny little notch right there. We're going to put the yarn in that notch. That notch holds the yarn. We're going to pull the bead, pop it over and in. The yarn is being held in that little notch, so the bead slides right over it. And again, we're ready to work our next stitch, and when we work our next stitch as we work a normal stitch, it'll end up as a beaded DC. Option 3, tool 3, is the Beadalon Elastic Needle, I think it's called. I got this one from Michael's. There's a really long shaft, so when I'm sitting and working for a while, I fill it all the way up and it keeps me going for quite a few rows. There is no stopper though, so if I'm putting down a project, I'm going to take all the beads off the tool so they don't get lost. I've got my stitch. This has a really long notch, so put the stitch in that notch and then slide the bead onto the stitch. Take off the beading tool, and we're good to go. Again, we've got stitch. We're going to take the beading tool and put it on the stitch. It's looped in. We're going to take a bead and just slide it straight on, and there we go. We're ready to go. Let's go through this once more. We've got beading tool, and the same concept applies whichever beading tool you're using. Bead goes on the beading tool. The idea behind a beading tool is that it should be small and narrow enough that the bead goes on without issue. We put the beading tool into the stitch. Use the beading tool to pull the stitch through the bead or pull the bead over the stitch. Bead is on the stitch. Take our hook. Work our next stitch. And we've got a beaded double crochet. That's it.